In July 2026, 20,000 students surged toward India's parliament in New Delhi. They pushed through clouds of tear gas and rows of police batons to reach the center of the capital. Leading this march were two unlikely allies, a satirical online movement called the Cockroach Janta Party, and a 59-year-old engineer in the final days of a 3-week hunger strike. When traditional political opposition breaks down, dissent mutates. This pairing of a viral internet joke and a starving activist allows the movement to operate in the blind spots of the state's defenses. This chart illustrates the economic reality driving the anger. Of all recent college graduates in India under the age of 25, 40% are currently unemployed. Millions of degrees have failed to produce a single paycheck. To enter the middle class, families often take on massive debt to fund coaching for the NEET, the nation's high-stakes medical entrance exam. But the system was compromised by leaks, with question papers sold to the highest bidder before students even opened their booklets. This combination of financial ruin and systemic corruption has left a generation without formal representation. For millions of students, the traditional paths to success have been replaced by a system that rewards those who can pay for a stolen exam. The turning point occurred during a Supreme Court hearing. A high-ranking judge criticized the country's unemployed youth, comparing them to parasites and cockroaches. A 30-year-old graduate named Abhijit Dipke turned that insult into a political identity. He issued a call on social media for all cockroaches to unite, launching the satirical Cockroach Janta Party. The movement utilized a very specific structural advantage. In a country where direct political dissent is often policed or censored, the government struggled to legally suppress a group that presented itself as a joke. Within 2 weeks, the group's Instagram following surpassed 22 million. By the time the government attempted to block their accounts on national security grounds, the movement had already outgrown the ruling party's digital reach. By leaning into a derogatory insult, they created a cohesive network that bypassed conventional campaign hurdles. They transformed a state-issued slur into a tool for mass mobilization. To add physical stakes to their digital presence, the students found a partner in Sonam Wangchuk, a prominent engineer and veteran activist used to surviving the extreme conditions of the Himalayas. Wangchuk joined the students in New Delhi, bringing the moral gravity of a traditional hunger strike to the internet-born movement. His severe physical decline over nearly 4 weeks provided a sense of urgency that a social media campaign cannot maintain. The state responded by forcibly removing a starving Wangchuk to a hospital. This decision backfired, acting as the immediate catalyst for the Parliament March and drawing thousands of students into the streets to confront these barricades. The risks of supporting the movement remain high. Even Bollywood stars like Aamir Khan, who profited from a film inspired by Wangchuk's life, are now publicly distancing themselves from the activist to avoid government friction. This fusion of digital reach and physical sacrifice creates a unique challenge for the state. Satire protects the movement online, while the high-stakes protest in the capital makes it impossible for the government to simply ignore the underlying demands. The government was forced into a defensive position. The Prime Minister recorded a midnight selfie video addressing the youth directly to promise new, stricter anti-leak laws for national examinations. While Wangchuk has ended his fast, the students have not moved. They remain at the protest sites in New Delhi, refusing to disperse until the education minister resigns and systemic reforms are enacted. These protests have established a method for outmaneuvering established political machines. By alternating between anonymous digital satire and highly visible physical presence, the youth have created a structure that is difficult for a centralized state to dismantle. By merging satirical masks with physical sacrifice, these students built a movement modeled after the very pest the government used to insult them, a decentralized force that persists even under heavy pressure.